Welcome to Real with me, Zara King. I have been in business and personal development for years alongside raising my family. I started in the beauty industry in 2011, moved into network marketing and then coaching and NLP. This podcast originally began helping beauty professionals, and now I support ambitious women in a wider arena of service-based businesses. It is all about real, uncensored conversations on coming home to you and your alignment. You are done playing at a level that you know you've outgrown, and you're ready to go all in on creating more income, more freedom, mental clarity, and a business that actually works for your life. Inside this podcast, we talk real business, real life, and the hard parts most people avoid, from identity to strategy and what it actually takes to grow as women and mothers who want it all. So if you're ready to trust yourself fully and step into your next level, you're in the right place. Hello, you gorgeous human, and welcome back to another episode. I want to get into this because I have had so many conversations lately that have been sitting with me, with women that have listened to or been on and watched my masterclass, for example. And these women are the women that I absolutely love to work with. But in particular, there is a common theme, and like, you're so good at what you do. You're ready to grow, and you totally get that it's possible. But about, I don't know, a few messages back and forth or speaking to somebody, I have to say sometimes, if you can't access the funds to try to grow your business and invest in support, there is no point in carrying on a conversation. Like, park it, because obviously I cannot sell something to someone that they cannot pay for. That's just being a knob. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to do that. And the thing is, like, so many women are going to say, I know, but I need to do something. And it's like a catch-22. And I've been thinking about that whole catch-22 so many times, and obviously myself, right? Not just for people that I speak to, but I've been in a catch-22 many a time myself. But I think it's just a really easy sweeping statement that we make, but I like deeper, when you go deeper with it, I don't think it's actually the truth. I think it feels really true at the time, but I think it's very different than that. Because, for example, like, today's episode is all about, like, if you say I can't afford it, you let that wall go up, you say it's a catch-22, right? But I just think it's something deeper than that. It always is, yeah? And I've been there myself. I'm like telling one person, oh, I can't stay in a container with you because it's another 3, 4, 5 grand or whatever it is. But then the next month I'm invested in something else. That's the honest truth of it. Okay. So I think there's probably something in here for you as well. If you have realized that you are in what you call a catch-22, do you know what I mean? So the first things first is I want to split up the kind of, I don't have the money, I can't access the funds, into two different sort of sentences, because it gets said like that. It gets said, I'll show you what I mean. Some people have said something like, I've genuinely looked, I have, checked all my things, my accounts, I've had the conversation, I've done the maths myself, there is nothing I can do. There's no room, there's no card that I can put it on, and there is just genuinely no room right now. And that is so real, and it's real life. It's what happens. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everyone has got a secret money hiding somewhere, because we don't all have that. So that's not what that is. But the other way people say it is like, I can't do it. The answer is no, for example, but they haven't actually checked. They haven't actually opened their apps. They haven't looked at the savings. They haven't looked at figuring out the maths. They haven't had the awkward conversation with the partner that they need to have, which is real again, by the way. They haven't looked at cards and options. They've just decided that they can't right now, and they've called it a catch-22, and like, I can't. And this is the thing, right? If we're honest, we are probably doing the second one way more than we think. Like I just gave you my example, I've done that before. The first time I've said to one person, I can't do this because I've just I've genuinely looked, and I just can't, and that's real. And I'm like, actually, it's just not the time. And then there are other times where I've said to the person, can't do that, but then literally in a month I've done it with someone else, or I've done it somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? And that's just, so before writing things off for your next investment, and bear in mind, I'm not saying that this is with me, before you write anything off, I want you to actually ask yourself, where am I sitting with this? Like, have I actually checked? Have I actually seen the options, exhausted all the options? Or have I just decided that it's a no? Like, it's just no. Because when you get super honest with yourself, it just changes everything. Yeah. And what it also does is it gives you that knowledge of like, what are my real blockers? And often I do say to some people, like, we've been chatting for a while, because I do have a lot of people in my DMs, I want to work with you, can't right now. I'm not that type of person that forces you to go like, of course you can, find the money, put it on a credit card. We're going to talk about that. So I have these conversations often sometimes when women who are in a situation that they want to change can't change it and don't change it. And sometimes if I feel like I know them well enough, we will get down the route of what is the real blocker here, because there's an underlying belief or something holding you back from, and it could be something else. Especially if you're sitting in the camp of sentence number 2 that I just mentioned, like, I've not actually checked. The answer is just no, I can't do it right now. Do you know what I mean? So what I also want to talk about with this is I've like completely been there myself, and I've already given you an example of sometimes when I do this, because I think it's a natural thing that we do. But also I want to tell you like the story of when I first invested in help with my coaching business, because it was back in 2021, and obviously the highlight reel of it is the fact that I invested and I made my money back, and I went for full throttle and everything worked out really well, but I was really fucking scared to put this money on a credit card. So I put $5,000 on a credit card to invest in the business, because I knew that we didn't have $5,000 like sitting in a savings account. So I knew that if I put it on an interest-free credit card, yes, it would be scary and terrifying, like genuinely, like kind of crazy, but I will make it work. And the thing is, I don't want to skip past this when I say this, because it really is like the scariest decision, and I get that, but it's like 90% of it that made it work was what I did in the 3 months after I had made that decision. It didn't just be like, right, I'm going to put it on a credit card and hope that the universe saves me, or hope that this coach does everything for me and saves me, and it all sorts itself out, and all of a sudden by magic I get loads of clients and I'm paid loads of money. Do you know what I mean? No. I put that $5,000 on a credit card, and then every single day I woke up early, got my stuff done before the children were up, and made that sacrifice for 3 months. And I was working like that $5,000 was already gone, and I just needed to earn it back. And I was like, this is the plan. And so this is the part that I want to talk about. Like, I don't say to people, I would never say to somebody, get in debt. If you don't have a plan to pay that off, that's the part that you're missing. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone says it, I bet on myself, I trusted myself. But the actual decision to do that isn't what works. That's not the magical part. The magical part is what you do after you've made that big, crazy, scary decision to back yourself, yeah? So if I'd put that $5,000 on a credit card and then just carried on doing what I was already doing, same effort, same habits, same excuses, same whatever, I would have just been $5,000 out of pocket, you know what I mean? And had to learn that lesson the hard way. So if you do sit there and listened to this, or maybe you've been in conversation with someone and you really want to do a course or a program or something with someone, maybe it's me, maybe it's someone else, I feel like you need to know that, because yes, you need to back yourself, but you need to back yourself with a plan. Yeah, it's not just, okay, cool, I'm going to pop that on a credit card, get into debt. Well, that's not going to help. Like, that's not the strategy. What you actually do with it, that is a strategy. What the plan is after those 3 months, the trust that you have in the coach as well that you're going into with, or the course or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just you having a plan for you, not just relying on that program, that person to just do it all and give you all the light bulb moments. You need to seriously think, what is my plan to get the work done differently to what I've been doing to get me to where I want to be in the next 3 to 6 months? For me, in my case, it was like I had 3 months. I had a 90-day container, and I was like, this is what I'm going to commit to for those 90 days, and I'm going to make change. And I did. That was the long and short of it. So that's like one thing I want to talk about when it comes to these kind of conversations. The other thing I want to talk about is ROI. So like the return on investment, because I think everybody wants to know, like, am I going to make this money back? Very, very, very valid. But if that's the only lens that you are looking through, you will miss a lot of the other things that come along with it. So it's like, when I invest in myself, I'm not just buying the information. I'm not just buying the course. I'm not just buying the proximity to the coach, right? And you can go and get information for free, guys. It is all over the internet. A lot of it is in this podcast, yeah? But what I'm actually buying when I decide to go with someone's space, a coach or, whatever, it's generally always coaches that I work with, I am buying their experience of their trial and error over the last however many years that they've tweaked their curriculum, their program, their processes and their strategies, and I'm compressing it into maybe 6 months with them, or 3 months, sometimes 5 months, whatever it is, and I am buying the future version of me that knows that shit now. Yeah, the person that knows it, the person that doesn't have to do everything slowly and painfully and then trial and error. I'm buying the person that knows it now. Yeah. And so the skill that I walk away with when I invest in someone's 6-month container, that's not just when I've made the investment back. Like, that ROI isn't when I've made just the actual monetary value back. It compounds over time. And the thing that you learn to do in a 3-month container, maybe you're not great at it when you first start, by the way, either. Like, you're learning new things in these containers all the time. Like my ladies, for example, they're learning something. They're probably competent at it, but not 100% great at it when they learn it. So maybe they're at like 50%. Do you know what I mean? But then in 3 years' time or in a year's time, they're doing it at like 99%, nearly 100%. Okay? And then it's obviously not costing them anything. But it's who they become in that business and that skill that they acquire. Yeah, that's part of the actual return on investment, not just the number that comes back into the bank account when you get your clients, when you've realized that you know how to sell. Those skills are going to last a lifetime as well. Do you know what I mean? It's the person that you become who can hold more and do more. Like, when I say hold more, I mean the challenges that come along with every single level of your next version of business. Every level requires a new version of you. So you become able to hold more things, more knowledge, more ability to handle challenge, and you can do more. And you do it with less panic and less scrambling and less imbalance and less stress. Yeah, because now you know what you're doing. So each level that rises, and obviously that's not how you're sold to. This kind of conversation isn't how I would put it on a page that's like, come and join my program because this is what we're going to do. Do you know what I mean? It's not that, because it's deeper than just here's how to make your money back in 30 days. Yeah. Obviously money back bit is what we want. And if you implement the work, you're going to make your money back. Like, that's the whole point. It does happen. But it's not the full thing. And I just think it's refreshing for me to sit here and have this conversation. And because I don't think in fact, I know I've just never talked about this on the pod, you know? So yeah. The next part I want to talk about is how you make a decision. Okay, really, really important to me. Probably learned this maybe a decade ago myself. And I feel like there's two completely different places that you can make your decisions from. One is fear, okay? One is like, shit, I need to do this thing because I'm actually really scared of staying where I am, you know, like really scared. And it comes from this fear. And then the other one is actually like, oh my God, I'm fucking excited and I'm so ready and I want to do this thing because I can see like where it takes me and I can see who I'm going to be when I get there, and I really, really, really want to go there. Like, it's really exciting and I want to get under the hood with this person and I want to see what they can see because I can't see it right now and they can see something that I can't and I want to know. And it gets exciting. And both of those things, don't get me wrong, are going to get you to say yes probably. If you're really scared to stay where you are, you're probably still going to be like, oh yeah, okay, fine. But you might have already clocked on to where I'm going with this. The other one, the excitement one, is going to keep you going and showing up on the harder days. Yeah. If you go into something in a scarcity mode and mindset and lack and like, you're almost going into it like, I need to be saved. Whereas if you're going into this with full fuel and excitement, it is going to help you show up when it feels hard, because there's never somebody that comes into my world that comes in and never finds something hard, right? There is always something hard that happens, always. And it's getting through it. Yeah. So maybe you can actually like sit and think, have you made any decisions running on, you know, fear, you know, because you've made the leap, because it was too painful to stay where you are. And then you made the leap, but 2 weeks in, the motivation was just not there anymore. Yeah, you're not like, you don't have things to pull you forward. Maybe you were only like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? And you weren't fully into it. Maybe you can actually identify some time in your life when you've done that. You made the decision out of fear, and all of a sudden, like, it didn't do the thing you wanted it to do. And that's probably because the motivation just wasn't there. Yeah. Whereas you might be able to pinpoint a time in your life where you're like, I made that decision out of excitement. I was running towards this thing that I really, really wanted. And that's what got you through like that really shitty, boring day when no one was watching, no results were coming in, nothing was exciting, and you still showed up and did the work. You still did like the non-negotiable stuff to grow the business, move it forward, do whatever it was, get a new client, change the thing, grow, build the course, do the thing that felt hard and mundane and boring. Yeah? So obviously when you think about investing in yourself, I think what would be really good to ask yourself is, are you doing it because you're just so scared, or is there a genuine excitement about who you get to become? Because I just think if it is only the fear, if you are just feeling scarcity all the time, then I would actually just stop. Like, even if you're coming into my world, like, I don't take on everyone, and I do say how it is, and I do have real conversations with everyone, and I would actually just stop, because it's not that the investment is not for you and it's completely wrong and all the rest of it, but it's that you need to be excited, and the fear isn't going to carry you through this implementation. Like, the fear isn't going to carry you through the days when you feel like you can't do it. You know, you need to have the two. You need to have both of them. You need to be a little bit scared to stay where you are, of course, but you also need to be like so excited to get the work done. And I think that is just so, so important. Okay, last bit. And I think this kind of removes the excuses for most people as well, because it's like, I want to talk about the fact that it's not like money, but it's more about time. Because time is a real thing. Yeah, we all get the same amount of time in a day, but we all have different commitments. Like, hello, I'm a mother of 3, soon to be a mother of 4. What the time that I have in the day as compared to somebody that doesn't have kids is insanely different. So sometimes we use the whole time thing as an option to not do something. Like it's not an excuse. Sometimes it really is a reason. Like, even if we deal with the money situation and we do invest, sometimes we just say, well, I don't have the time. Do you know what I mean? So what I want you to do is like really, really get honest with yourself, because it actually takes, say, 20 minutes a day of learning, and that could be minimum. Like obviously if you learned for longer than that and you were listening to trainings, for example, for an hour a day, great. Oh, lovely. There's an alarm going off in the background. If you can hear that, apologies, but I'm just going to continue. So that's like a minimum of like learning. And then maybe an hour a day of implementing what you've learned. Yeah, maybe it takes you an hour a day. Like with my ladies inside Limitless, it would normally take them between half an hour to 90 minutes, depending on how much of each thing that they are doing in what I teach them to do as the daily 5, the bare minimum non-negotiables to move your business forward. And then they need to carve out some time to work on projects that actually are in the background. Yeah, like future thinking projects, like what's coming next. For example, if they're building out a course, well, then we need some time in the day or in the week to build out this course. Yeah, alongside all our other commitments, unfortunately, because we all have lives and we all have stuff going on. But I'm not here to say you can get freedom without having to be in a stage of building at some point, because you will have to be in a stage of building at some point. Now, this is the thing. It can look different to everyone. And I think what you have to get crystal clear on is what pace you can stick to, because there's probably no point, unless you really want to do this and you really want to sacrifice, say, 3 months and really run and then slow down, because running forever is not sustainable. Yeah. So I think you have to get crystal clear with yourself on what it looks like for you, what your capacity looks like. But I just want to give you the bare minimums, like 20 minutes a day of learning, an hour a day of implementation. But this is the thing. Before you sort of listen to that and go, but I don't have a 20 minutes spare in my day, okay, or I don't have an hour difference in my day, I actually want you to be really honest about where your day currently goes, because most of us are already spending the hour and 20 minutes, the whole load of that, scrolling, or doing the thing that we've always done that actually doesn't move the needle forward in our business anyway. And we just do it again and again and again, and we hope that the outcome is different, i.e. posting without a strategy on social media, for example, right? Posting and hoping, just for a very, very surface level, basic bitch idea for you of that thing that we do over and over again without getting any results. That's just a typical one. Yeah, there's so many though. So when ladies come into my world, into Limitless, I am not asking them to find additional time in their day. I get them to look at their time that they're already spending. There's a training on this and there are resources on this. And we have this conversation one-to-one, obviously. And it's like, redirect your time that you're already spending. Yeah. Swap the scroll time for the 20 minutes. Swap the, okay, I'm just going to shove this out there in this energy and I've always done it and I'm winging it, for the hour of doing it the new way that's actually been shown to work. Yeah. That actually creates results. And that's it. You don't, and what it is as well, when you are working on yourself as a person, which is what I pair with strategy, there's no coming into my world and not doing any identity work. Like, we start there. When we go through my recoding identity method, you are being that person anyway. Like, you know that your time is best spent doing what it is best spent. You are that person anyway. You are becoming her. And that's it. Like, it's not a massive lifestyle overhaul. It is like, I don't sacrifice my evenings anymore, but have I gone for a period where I did, and that was okay for me and my capacity at the time? Yes. So you get to choose that. My ladies aren't sacrificing their evenings, to be fair. But if you can start by redirecting it, you'd be very surprised from, the stuff that you were doing that wasn't moving the needle to spending that time doing the stuff that does move the needle. You'd be very surprised at how quickly you can shift into the person that knows how to sell on their stories, for example. And so everything becomes easier because that ROI is actually coming in now because you are actually selling better. And then you do have more options, more choices. So anyway, the people that I've spoken to that are in this boat, and if you're in the same position listening to this episode, what I think is, like, bringing it back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, before you say, I can't, have a look a bit deeper. Have you actually checked, or have you just been sitting with, I just can't? Because if you've genuinely checked and you honestly cannot take the action to invest in yourself and your business, that is okay, and there's no shame in it, and it's a thing. It's a real thing. It's not a you thing. It's not a problem about who you are as a person. It's actually a timing thing. Right now, it isn't going to work. But if you haven't checked, obviously that is a bit different. That is worth having a look at. That's worth going a bit deeper and thinking, what is it really that's holding me back? Why haven't I really checked properly? Because it's not the same. Even though it feels like real at the time, when you question yourself and you get honest with yourself, it feels very, very different. And then if you do decide to back yourself, invest in yourself, find the funds, for example, remember the time is also important. Remember that the decision that you make to do the investment is only one part of it. It's a very small part of it. It's like 10% of it, right? The other 90% is actually what you do in that 3 months, 6 months, however long your investment is, afterwards, showing up like, okay, we're doing this. I'm proving this. I'm going to keep my commitment to myself. So I think that's it. And if this does land for you, if this feels like I'm talking directly to you and you want to open up this conversation and have it properly, I would love to talk to you. You can send me a DM on Instagram. My links are all in the description. And you can also book a call with me if Limitless is the next right step for you. Like if looking at your business in a way to create more recurring income for you in the next 6 months is for you, then we can do that too. So I hope you've loved this one as much as I have, and I'll see you on the next one.